Let's go!
I am going to watch this. Fighter's History versus Street Fighter 2. Character comparison from a lawsuit. I heard about this a while ago, and apparently Capcom was going after other companies that were making games close to Street Fighter, right? So they were like, our shit is so good and it's so original. It wasn't. It ripped off a ton of stuff. This sort of happened a couple months ago, and I had not had the chance to watch this. This is sort of a insane relic of 90s era copyright, where they were trying to get people into the idea that no, ours is completely original, you can't touch this, and anything else that's close, we're going to take you down. I have no idea who won as a result, but I am going to look at this. But it's Fighter's History versus Street Fighter 2, a lawsuit that Capcom was saying, hey, these guys are making a game that's way too close to ours. So I am going to watch this, and I'm going to provide my own anecdotal evidence and know-how to see what the hell this is about.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm Itsuko
Hello, my name's Max.
Adelman, Manager of Corporate Liaison at Data East USA Inc. in San Jose, California.
Hello, YouTuber and physical tuber. Hi.
This presentation provides a visual comparison of the characters and fighting moves from the two one-on-one fight games at issue in this dispute, Street Fighter 2 and Fighter's History.
I also enjoy fight games. It is nice to meet you.
Street Fighter 2 is produced by Capcom Company Limited in Japan and distributed by the plaintiff Capcom USA Inc. Fighter's History is produced by Defendant Data East Corp in Japan and distributed by Defendant Data East USA.
Yes.
The nature of this dispute is described more fully in the printed materials filed by Capcom and Data East. Put simply, Capcom claims that Data East copied the fighter characters and their moves from Street Fighter 2 and put them into the Data East game Fighter's History.
Again, a funny thing to go after, because Street Fighter 2 has so much shit that's just ripped off. From music to visuals to characters, just directly pillaged from a whole shit ton of other media for the past like 20, 30 years that came before it.
Capcom has filed the declaration of a support representative, David Winstead, making these allegations. This video is organized into two parts. Part 1, made up of 7 short segments, reviews Capcom's allegation that Data East copied 7 characters from Street Fighter 2. We will compare them with the characters from Fighter's History that Capcom claims are copies.
All right.
Part 2, made up of 18 short segments, compares several fighting techniques, generally known as special moves, that Capcom claims were copied in Fighter's History.
Okay.
In this first segment, we will review Capcom's claim that Data East character Matlock Jade is a copy of Capcom's character Guile.
I like it how I think she's from Data East. She's like caressing the cabinet. She's like, listen, this poor Fighter's History cabinet is being subjected to so much turmoil and stress.
Visual comparison of these characters show that they are not similar. This is Guile, as he appears in the Street Fighter 2 strategy guide.
Right.
The images from the strategy guide are the only images Capcom submitted with its papers.
Oh, dumb. Stupid bitch-made shit move. That's a dumb move.
If you think that Guile looks familiar, you could be right. This is the image of Guile from Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition in his ready stance. I will refer to the screen images from the two games as bitmap images. Guile is obviously associated with the United States military.
Bro, imagine the precedent that this is. You're effectively explaining this to a judge. That judge is approximately 190 years old, has never even seen a television. So we're having to explain, all right, the sprite of Guile is not close to our sprite of Matlock Jade from our video game.
He wears camouflage military pants, army boots, a green military undershirt, dog tags, and a tattoo of an American flag. Consistent with his military image, Guile has a flat-top haircut. In many one-on-one fighting games, each character has its own graphical background known as its home stage. Guile's is a military base. There are other military personnel, a military aircraft, and United States Air Force insignia on the pavement.
Okay.
Matlock Jade from Data East Fighter's History is quite different from Guile in both conception and appearance. This is a pencil sketch of Matlock used by the graphic artist as a model.
The Baz?
For the bitmap images in the game.
Bitch, it's not Guile at all. It's like...
And here's the bitmap image of Matlock from Fighter's history in his ready stance.
Yeah, no. You got Data East 1, Capcom 0. Move on.
He's an athletic punk rocker from England. He sports a blonde mohawk haircut, sunglasses, and headphones, a leather-studded
To be real, he's more like Birdie from Street Fighter 1. Like, no kidding. He's much closer to what Birdie looked like in the old Street Fighter.
Baggy pants, and boots. Matlock's hair design was based on this photograph of a spiked mohawk haircut. Each character in Fighter's history has a particular weak spot and will be stunned if the opponent hits this weak spot when it is flashing. This concept does not exist in Street Fighter II. Matlock's weak spots are his sunglasses and headphones. Consistent with Matlock's athletic and musical character, his fighting movements, especially the kicks, resemble breakdancing.
What the hell, Capcom? This is some...
Matlock's home stage is a street in England featuring other punk rockers and a distinctly British bobby.
This is definitely reaching.
Dance music plays in the background. The personality differences between Guile and Matlock are reinforced.
I see. He throws a sonic boom. I get it. He does like a reverse flash kick. He throws a sonic boom. He's kind of green and he kind of has the same color hair. And there you go. And then Capcom, you know, some person at Capcom Japan is like, oh shit!
By their speech and behavior after winning a round.
Ow, come on!
This is Guile after a first round victory. Note that he silently combs his hair and folds his hands on his hips. Matlock is completely different.
Again, Data East 1, Capcom 0.
This second segment compares Data East's character Samchay Tomyamkrun and Capcom's character Sagat. Capcom asserts that Samchay is a copy of Sagat. Both characters are Thai kickboxers, but otherwise they are very different. This is Sagat from Capcom's Street Fighter II strategy guide. He has a distinctive patch over one eye and a prominent scar across his chest.
That he do.
This is the bitmap image of Sagat in front of his home stage.
Yeah.
Sagat is a bald giant who dwarfs other Street Fighter II characters.
Okay.
This is a pencil sketch of Data East's Samchay, used as a model for the bitmap images
he looks like Adon
in the game. This is the bitmap image of Samchay in his ready stance.
So number one, Sanjay has actually got the proper, like, stance.
Samchay is a muscular but trim Thai kickboxer. His fighting movements and costume are based on the art of Muay Thai. Samchay's appearance, costume, and movements were made as authentic as possible given the limitations of computer graphics.
Yeah, but Tiger Knee is there.
Including his wrapped wrists, bicep armbands, and traditional headband. Samchay's weak spots are his armbands.
But this is like Capcom. I get exactly where they're coming from, but you can't. The idea was that they were trying to effectively copyright special moves. That is going to be a losing argument because you're not going to be able to copy what the inspiration was, which is fucking like Muay Thai. Like, you're not going to be able to copyright karate. Like, that's not fair. Yeah, this is already a losing argument. But yeah, obviously the bitch is doing a Tiger Knee.
Samchay's fighting moves and stances were all inspired by photographs of actual kickboxers, as illustrated in this Thai kickboxing book. Sagat wears neither the traditional headband nor armbands. Samchay shouts out the name of his special attacks in Thai, unlike Sagat. Although Mr. Winstead states that Samchay is bald like Sagat, he is obviously not.
He's not. He has hair.
Mr. Winstead also states that Sagat...
Wait a minute. Is this Dave Winstead? I think the only person in my chat that knows if this is like the one person is maybe Guile. Yeah, it is? Wow. Holy shit.
Wears earrings. According to the picture in Capcom's strategy guide, he does not. Sagat's home stage is completely different from Samchay's.
I get where Capcom's coming at from here, but it's a losing argument. It's something that you're not going to win. So is that a direct ripoff? No. I didn't even see the other dude do an uppercut, to be real. I didn't even see a tiger uppercut. So I'm going to go with Data East 2, Capcom 0.
In this third segment, we review Capcom's assertion that Data East's character Makoto Mizoguchi is a copy of Capcom's character Ryu.
Here we go.
Other than being male Japanese fighters using karate techniques,
This is Shoto shit. It's like my expertise.
the two characters are not similar.
Okay?
This is the picture of Capcom's Ryu from the Street Fighter II strategy guide.
The Native American man, Ryu.
Ryu wears a traditional Shotokan karate outfit,
Yes?
complete with a black belt and extended wrist protectors.
He's from the streets.
This is the bitmap image of Ryu on his home stage,
Yeah?
which is a dojo rooftop. This is a pencil sketch of Mizoguchi. This is the bitmap image of Mizoguchi in his ready stance. Mizoguchi departs from the traditional karate dress with baggy black pants and shortened wrist protectors.
Yeah? Okay.
Mizoguchi's weak spot is his headband. Mizoguchi is a master of Kenka Karate, or no-hold-barred karate. It begins with standard karate and adds illegal fighting moves such as attacks below the belt, headbutting, and grabbing an opponent's collar to throw him to the ground. Mizoguchi's Japanese identification is further emphasized by his home stage, the suspension bridge between two steep mountains in the Kansai region of Japan. It looks very different from Ryu's home stage.
Yeah. This is such a shitty road because it's obvious that, okay, it's clearly inspired. We have friggin' eyes, dude. We can see that Street Fighter II was that influential. It effectively inspired fighting games to exist. You know, like even Mortal Kombat, but like taking different turns and shit. That's the weird route that this is in. Sometimes something has such a profound impact where you make small changes and differences doesn't mean it's plagiarizing. And I'm fairly sure that Data East does not have a winning case here because yeah, they are making something, but they're making it new. You know, they're creating new media out of something that has established itself as like an existing popular thing. So it's like, oh, okay. Plagiarism is literally like rotoscoping the moves and all of the shit that exists and doing their own thing. I am personally, you know, fairly attached to this situation as I was embedded in something pretty close to this back in 2011 called an epic rap battle. And it got me in trouble with the people that made epic rap battles because I produced something that was original and had music, but was clearly a parody of epic rap battles. And because the period of the time did not have much legality of how fair use works and how even things like parody of something, it is completely legal. Absolutely legal. You could like package it and distribute it. Parody is completely fine. Spaceballs fucking exists, my dude. There's a lot of weird space in there where you try to protect your property and then you go after people to sort of set a precedent. Hey, we want to scare people. And that's the whole point of this lawsuit, right? That's the whole point of what's existing. They want to scare you.
This fourth segment reviews Capcom's assertion that Data East's character Jean-Pierre is similar to Capcom's character Vega. Other than being fair-skinned European fighters, these characters are not similar. This is the picture of Vega from the Street Fighter II strategy guide.
Okay.
This is the bitmap image of Vega in his ready stance. Vega fights bare-chested and wears a long, fierce-looking claw on his attacking hand. He covers his face with a protective white hockey mask. In addition to these highly distinctive features, Vega wears high-waisted pants that end just below the knee and brown loafers. His brown hair is worn in a long, braided ponytail.
Yeah.
This is the pencil sketch of Jean-Pierre, and this is the bitmap image of Jean in his ready stance.
Where's his claw?
Jean-Pierre is a strong, muscular, yet agile French gymnast. He has
Dude, he doesn't even have claws. Capcom, you're reaching. So, you know what? I'm in the Capcom defense force usually. These bitches are reaching.
short blonde hair in a modern haircut, traditional gymnast outfit, and suspenders. His costume includes boots and protective knee pads to create a tougher appearance.
The craziest thing is that, like, I know several other games that ripped off Street Fighter significantly closer than this. Like, directly copying sprite animations and shit in this time frame. And according to Capcom, they went after the one that actually clearly, you know, was inspired by Street Fighter 2, but did something different, created entirely different animations and all this kind of shit. The fact that they went after this one was ultra dumb.
John's weak spot is his leg band, which is in the colors of the French flag. John's and Vega's home stages are completely different. John fights in a ballroom at the Grand Palace of Versailles. The French aristocracy in full ballroom clothing cheers him on. Vega fights in a Spanish fight pit in a darkened nightclub.
The health bars are the same too. They're not, dude. Go back and look at them. Literally look at them. The font is different. The scaling of the life bars is different. The placement of the names is different. The fucking time font is different. The only thing you're noticing is yellow life bar and red. If your argument is that Capcom owns the yellow and red life bar, what the fuck are we doing? You guys have no idea what plagiarism actually is. That's not plagiarizing, dude. They did not trademark the yellow and red colors.
The onlookers are protected by a tall chain-link fence. This fifth segment reviews Capcom's assertion that Data East's Ray McDougall is similar to Street Fighter II's character Ken.
Okay.
Other than being
I don't know what Ray looks like. I
American
want to
men,
see.
these characters are not similar. This is Ken from Capcom Street Fighter II Strategy Guide, and this is the bitmap image of Ken in his ready stance.
Okay. Owen
Ken
Wilson.
has brown eyes and long but neatly layered blonde hair.
Okay.
Ken wears a red karate costume, black belt, and no shoes. This is a bitmap image of Ray generated by Fighter's History.
Right.
Ray is an American detective trained in a variety of martial arts.
Sure. I definitely see this one as one of the closer ones. Just because of his like movement and walk, like the animation walk.
He has blue eyes and short, messy blonde hair. He wears a tight muscle shirt with a prominent lightning bolt on the front. To portray his American identity, Ray wears blue jeans and athletic shoes and speaks English while fighting.
But yeah, like, it's like saying Terry. Yeah, exactly.
Ray's weak spot is the lightning bolt on his shirt. Ken and Ray have different hairstyles, different colored eyes, and different costumes. Players attracted to...
Here's the thing. Ultimately speaking, yes, their bodies are in similar poses, but is it a one-to-one copy? It's not, like, at all. Like, where their arms are placed are not plagiarized. They are not drawn over. It is original. Like, where his head is in relation to this, it is not the same. They made something that obviously looks relatively similar, but you can't just go after something because there's some similarities, you know?
Ken's purist karate personality are unlikely to be attracted to Ray, who is almost mocking the purists. Ray's home stage is the U.S. Capitol building. The accompanying music is rock and roll. Ken's home stage is quite different.
It's like, okay, so how would this be? Well, if the other guy also wore a gi and also had a slightly different colored gi and also had the same hair and did all the same moves exactly and also was on the exact same stage and they said, it's a different guy. It's not Ken, it's Ray. But it's not the same dude. He's different to a degree.
The sixth segment reviews Capcom's allegation that Data East character Mastorius is similar to Capcom's character Zangief. Other than being heavy-set wrestlers, the two characters are not similar. This is a picture of Zangief from Capcom's Street Fighter II Strategy Guide. And this is a bitmap image of Zangief in his ready stance. Consistent with Zangief's origin in the old Soviet Union, he wears his hair in a short, narrow strip down the middle of his shaved head and has a close-cropped beard. Zangief wears only red and gold boots, briefs, and wristbands. There appears to be some barely noticeable hair on Zangief's legs above the bootlaces.
Okay.
It is impossible to tell whether this hair is fur protruding from the top of the boot or Zangief.
They did copy the archetypes though, 100%. Street Fighter created fighting games, dude. Like Street Fighter 2 made fighting games. So it's almost like if a movie creates like a new genre, to saying we only can do this genre, this only belongs to us now, nobody else is allowed to have their own takes on it. And that's why effectively Capcom is in a losing argument here, because you can't just like own something that is like the entirety of the thing. It'd be like FromSoft going after every single company that tries to make a Souls-like, or people that made a different genre game like roguelites. Whoever made the first roguelite saying, hey, nobody else can make roguelites anymore. We did this shit, dude. You're not allowed to do this shit anymore. And that's where the argument's going to effectively fall onto legality, and it's not going to hold up because it has to be a copy. It has to be a straight copy. I mean, I hate to break it to you, but even Mortal Kombat and all games were Street Fighter games. They were Street Fighter likes, and some were different than the others. You know, all things to be fairly fair. What's good is that this sort of set a precedent that we're allowed to have other options, dude. Like, there should be competition to Street Fighter. You can't just own this and have it just be this. Nowadays, that wouldn't exist. But, you know, back then it was good that it was because it allowed people to actually have preferences. Now, the SNK is allowed to make their own shit. All this kind of stuff, you know?
Its own leg hair. This is the bitmap image of Mastorius from Data East's Game Fighter's history. Mastorius has a more liberated appearance, with long shaggy hair and a very full beard.
Yeah, I get it. He's a geef-like.
Mastorius wears fur leg warmers inspired by this well-known pro wrestler, Bruiser Brody.
Yeah.
Mastorius wears the...
And the fact that this is super disingenuous because Street Fighter was, and it later revealed, and we know, like, stole a bunch of shit. It's like you're preaching to the choir here, dude. They fucking took a ton of stuff directly referenced from movies and media over the past 20 years, from music and everything.
Of the ancient Roman gladiators.
That's why this is, like, extremely disingenuous.
His modern wrestling style. He wears a leather protector covering much of his upper body and skirt-like shorts. Zangief's home stage reinforces these character differences.
Yeah, we wouldn't have Ryu throwing fireballs if it wasn't for Dragon Ball.
Factory. Note the familiar hammer and sickle on the floor. The confined workers cheer him on. Mastorius's home stage is outdoors, in front of the historic Fountain of Trevi in Italy. The fountain features a large statue in the traditional Roman style.
I'm starting to see how this doesn't effectively fly Capcom's direction.
The seventh and last character comparison segment reveals Capcom's allegation that Data East's character Feilin is similar to Capcom's character Chun-Li. Other than being Chinese women, the characters are not similar. This is Chun-Li as she appears in the Street Fighter II strategy guide. And this is the bitmap image of Chun-Li in her ready stance. Chun-Li wears a blue china dress, revealing her legs up to her waist, calf-high white boots.
She should cut back to her very revealing and inappropriate.
Spiked wristbands. She ties her hair up with an elaborate ribbon with two prominent poofs, one at each side of her head. These are pencil sketches.
And our character, not sexually, you know, not super sexualized like Chun-Li. They should have done it. They should have run the modesty aspect of it, considering that this was the 90s.
A fighter's history character, Feilin. Feilin is a top actress in Kyogeki, a traveling Chinese opera. Her opera costume has protective armor from her shoulder to her breast.
And here's the thing, it's like, this isn't the only game to do this, dude. Virtua Fighter exists. Everyone played Virtua Fighter and picked Ryu, expecting the guy to throw fireballs. And he doesn't throw fireballs. Oh, so it's not Ryu? Weird. Like, and everyone picks Jackie expecting him to do a fireball uppercut. Oh, he doesn't do that. That's weird. Like, that's the thing, man. It's like Street Fighter created these visual archetypes. Everything pie, a Chinese girl that fights, like, and she's kind of fat. Like, come on, dude. Street Fighter 2 was so influential that it effectively created the fighting game archetype from gameplay to visuals. And that would just be used for a majority of things from that point forward.
The rest of the opera costume covers her legs to below the knee. Feilin wears brown kung fu shoes and wears her hair in a long ponytail tied in two places. Feilin's costume was inspired by this photograph of an authentic Chinese opera costume.
See, what I like is that they're including their inspirations and where it comes from. And you're like, oh, okay. That's what wins them this argument, where it's like, no, our inspiration wasn't this. It's clearly this. And it's like, okay, yeah, I see what you mean. Capcom would have to come back and be like, okay, so where did your inspirations come from? And then they would get in trouble because it starts to come from, like, not as much things that they own, like media that exists in movies and shit. Like M.Bison is just a ripoff, dude. Like straight up from a movie.
This is the bitmap image of Feilin in her ready stance. Feilin is an expert in Toroken, or praying mantis-ken. It involves stances and fighting movements very different from those of other Chinese fighters, such as Chun-Li in Street Fighter II. Feilin's home stage in China depicts other members of her theatrical company and is accompanied by music in the style of Chinese opera.
Yeah, what is M.Bison from, chat? It's from like a piece of Japanese media. It's a movie. Yasunori Kato? Straight up, dude. It's just M fucking Bison. Like, they were not even really apologetic about it.
Chun-Li's home stage, which depicts a busy marketplace, is quite different. Feilin is a serious, strong woman fighter who commands respect. Chun-Li, on the other hand, grins and giggles, portraying a stereotype of a young girl who need not be taken seriously. This concludes the character comparisons in the two games.
She did a great job.
Part 2 of this video will compare the characters' special fighting moves
Did a great job.
Capcom asserts were copied by Data East.
Yeah, I'm with you. Data East won every single one. Some were a bit closer. I'd argue the Ken guy sort of in there, but before M.Bison, for the majority of characters in Street Fighter 2. What is this fucking fan art? Like, my dude. Yeah, I'm good that that exists, you know? We're sort of seeing a similar thing happening right now between Nintendo and Pal World, and it's my guess that the same thing is going to happen. Pal World made a lot of money. And the precedent was that Nintendo isn't suing them for their arms and legs. They're not. I think the amount that they were suing them for was relatively small, where it's like, oh, wait a minute, just for that? They made like 50 times that amount of money. It was like for $2 million. And they could just pay that shit. Long story short, the point isn't the money, and the point is not to like bankrupt them, if not dismember their existence. The point is to scare everybody else. Yes, it's just to send the message. The message that, hey, so we went after Pal World, but if you try to do this too, and you do not get all the success that Pal World has, then you can't afford $2 million, dude. The whole point is the message, you know? Even if they don't win, it'll still be what they want. So I don't even know. I don't know who's going to win that because I don't know the specifics of that situation. As I understand, Data East eventually wins this argument. They win this court case because clearly, you know, Street Fighter 2 inspired a ton of shit, and it kind of inspired what the modern fighting game is. And the majority of things in Street Fighter 2 are still emulated to this day in like modern fighting games. And that's not a problem. It created a genre for the most part. But it just goes to show when companies start making money, a lot of money, they really get extremely protective of their IP. And they try to make sure that they need to start setting a precedent where it's like, hey, you can't just go around very closely doing what we do. We can't have that. We're not allowed. You're not allowed to do that. We will come after you. And similar to the Nintendo situation right now, it's more about sending a message. Because clearly, when you start looking at all the evidence, even in this situation, it's like, okay, Capcom's argument isn't sound. Like, it's not. Everything that Data East provided is like, oh, clearly this is not inspired by Street Fighter. It is inspired by other things. You know, Street Fighter being an influential game, you're allowed to make your own version of Street Fighter. You're allowed to do that. You just can't copy it. Plagiarism, like directly plagiarizing, is something else entirely, where you're literally just taking the creative that they made and reselling it. You see that a lot in games that just rip assets from other shit and they just try to do their own thing. Take the entire engine of what they do and just use their own. Like, no, these guys made their own engine of a game that did similar things.